the larynx part second, we will see the cavity of the larynx and subdivision of the cavity of the larynx and the movements of the larynx and what are the function of different folds. Okay, so if you see the cavity of the larynx here, this is the, suppose here, these are the two thyroid cartilage. Okay, and here is the cricoid cartilage. Okay, here. Then now, if you see, this is the fold, two folds. Okay, and here is the out tracheal fold. This is the opening trachea. Okay, here. This is the clear. And this is the quadrate membrane inside. Okay, and here is the cricovocal membrane. So, cavity of the larynx extends from the upper border of the epiglottis up to the cricoid cartilage here. And this cavity of the larynx anteriorly is prolonged, while the posterior wall of the laryngeal cavity is small because, and this epiglottis is slanted here. Okay, like this here. Okay. So what's happened now here? So anterior wall is prolonged while the posterior wall is short here. Clear? Now, and this laryngeal cavity here have the three part: upper part, middle part, and the lower part. Okay? And this whole laryngeal cavity has the fold. Okay, here. One is the iridoepiglottic fold. This is the iridoepiglottic fold here. Okay, here. And this is the here the vestibular fold and the vocal fold here. So three folds are there: iridoepiglottic fold, vestibular fold, and the vocal fold. And in these folds are the muscles. Okay, in the iridoepiglottic fold, the iridoepiglotticus muscle is there. Okay, and the thyroepiglotticus. While in the vocal fold, there is the vocalis muscle and the thyroid muscle. Okay, here in this. And the vestibular fold is only formed by the lower end of the quadrate membrane here. Okay, while here this vocal fold is formed by the upper free margin of the cricovocal membrane. Lateral to this, there is a vocalis muscle and the thyroid muscle. So in this fashion, here the whole cavity is bounded by the certain folds and the muscles. Clear? Now, if you see here this division, subdivision of the laryngeal cavity, this part inlet up to this here, the lower end of the quadrate membrane, this is known as the vestibule. Vestibule. Okay. This is known as the here the sinus of larynx. Okay, here. And this is known as the infraglottic part. Okay, infraglottic part. Here, this lower end, this the area between the vestibular fold here, it is known as the rima vestibuli. rima vestibuli here, this area between the two vocal fold here, this is known as rima glottidis. Okay, rima glottidis. Clear? Yeah. So in this, so if you see the whole cavity here, this area between the laryngeal inlet up to the rima vestibuli, this is known as the vestibule. Okay, vestibule part here, which is descends downward and medially. It acts like the funnel. Okay, slope like a funnel from above downward. Clear? Yeah. While here, this area is known as the sinus of larynx here, and this sinus of larynx is due to the absence of the fold here between the vestibular fold and the, so mucous membrane goes laterally here. Okay, between the thyroid cartilage and the vestibular and the vocal fold. So mucous membrane passes laterally here, evaginate we can say, and makes a small sinus type space here. And from the sinus of this here, the mucous membrane of the sinus further a pouch extend inside like this, anteriorly and laterally. This is known as the saccule of the larynx. Saccule of larynx. Okay. And the saccule of larynx provides the mucus secretion here, because made of the mucus gland, it provides the mucus secretion. So this mucus secretion moists this vocal cord here, because here in the vocal cord here, the epithelium of the vocal cord is tightly adherent to the vocal fold here, while here in the vestibular fold, vestibular epithelium is not tightly adherent, but the submucous coat is there. Okay, in the vestibular fold, while in the vocal fold there is no submucous layer, epithelium tightly adherent. So it gives this gland gives a secretion which moisten this vocal fold and prevent the friction between the vocal fold. So this is the cavity. Okay, here. Now, if you see the inlet of the larynx here, I told you this is inlet of the larynx here. This inlet of the larynx is formed by the anteriorly it is formed by the epiglottis. Okay, here. While on the posteriorly it is formed by the iridoepiglottic fold here. So these are the two iridoepiglottic fold here. Okay. So these are the two iridoepiglottic fold here. This is the arytenoid cartilage and the corniculate cartilage and cuneiform here. So from here, it was the lateral border of the epiglottis. Here, this iridoepiglottic folds are here. Okay. So so what's happened now during the contraction? If we close this laryngeal inlet, the contraction of the iridoepiglotticus muscle occur here. Okay, and there is a contraction of iridoepiglotticus muscle here. Here, the arytenoid cartilage come close to the epiglottis. Epiglottis do not fall back, but arytenoid cartilage come close to here and closes the laryngeal inlet here. Okay, so this is how the laryngeal inlet is closed here. So laryngeal inlet is closed by the contraction of the iridoepiglotticus muscle and also the thyroepiglotticus muscle here. Another muscle is here, thyroepiglotticus muscle. So this thyroepiglotticus and epiglotticus muscle contract. So whole of the laryngeal inlet come close to each other in the midline, as well as the arytenoid cartilage goes posterior to the epiglottis. Now, what is the rima vestibuli? If you see the rima vestibuli, here, this is the rima vestibuli. Now, if you see the rima vestibuli, the shape of the rima vestibuli is here, like this. Okay, so shape of the rima vestibuli is in funnel shape. Okay, here, inverted funnel shape here. Rima vestibuli, I told you, it is a space between the vestibular fold here. And this vestibular fold is formed by the lower free margin of the quadrate membrane here, and this here, this is the quadrillate membrane here, lower free margin is thickened and extend from the above the vocal process up to the thyroid cartilage, the thyroid lamina. So this is from the rima vestibuli. Okay, here rima vestibuli is a gap here, and this is the false vocal cord. They are also known as the false vocal cord. Clear? Or the vestibular fold. These are the vestibular fold. Vestibular fold or false vocal cord. Okay, here. False vocal cord. Now, what is the function of this false vocal cord here? If you see, this false vocal cord or rima vestibuli permits the air entry here, free air entry here, air enters here. So these vestibular folds separate from each other here. So it provides the free entry, but it prevents the exit of the air. When the air try to exit here, okay, here, so this fold comes together like this. Okay, like this. So it closes the this rima vestibuli. Okay, here. So when expiration occur here, it try to block this rima vestibuli, this vocal fold here. So it's very important function here. Here, what's happen? One hold the breath after taking the inspiration here. Okay, here when deep inspiration occur, and if we wanted to hold the breath here, so we can hold the breath by approximating the vestibular this fold. So this important function during the act of micturition or the act of defecation or act of parturition, especially in the female, and also in the coughing. Okay, here. So act of maturation, parturition, coughing, the defecation here, this rima vestibuli close. Okay, so this is the rima vestibuli. Now next is the rima glottidis. What about the rima glottidis? Rima glottidis here is formed between the vocal fold here the vocal fold, and these vocal fold here is formed by the upper free end of the cricovocal membrane here. Okay, so upper end of the cricovocal membrane extend from the vocal process up to the thyroid cartilage here. So this here, so upper end is thickened. Now this rima vestibuli has two parts, intermembranous part and the intercartilaginous part here. Look here, suppose suppose this is the lamina of the okay here. Suppose this is the vocal process here. Okay, this is the thyroid lamina, this is the adenoid cartilage. Suppose this is the vocal process over. So this is the rima glottidis. So this rima glottidis has the anterior 3/5 part membranous, they are made of a membrane, and the posterior 2/5 part is the cartilaginous between the arytenoid cartilage here. Okay, here. So this is the two part, intermembranous part and intercartilaginous part here. Clear? Now vocal fold. This is the vocal fold. Okay, these are the vocal fold, and these vocal fold are white in color. Okay, because it is lined by the stratified squamous epithelium, non-keratinized here, and this epithelium is adherent to the this vocal fold here. Okay, vocal or the this upper free margin of the cricovocal membrane, all the okay here. So due to the adherence of the mucous membrane, So there is a no submucous coat here. Okay, so that's why it looks like white in color. Now this vocal fold is opposite to the here the vestibular fold. The here look here, suppose this is the like this. So this vocal fold passes medially. Okay, here. So the cavity, if you say infraglottic part is inverted here, cone shape here. Okay, it looks like a cone shape. Clear? Now, so what's happened now? Here, when the air enters here, so both fold comes close, okay, together, while it provides the free exit of the air. Okay, it provides the free exit of the air here. Clear? So this is very important. It provides the free exit of the air, so it will act as a entry valve. Entry valve here. So what's happened now? It prevents the entry of the air. Okay, here. So it is useful for the here when one exhale the air. After exhaling of the air, one can stop the breathing after exhaling the air here, and this is necessary for the some acting of the respiratory muscle here. So respiratory muscle contract, accessory respiratory muscle like pectoralis major and the serratus anterior muscle contract here. It gives rise to the energy. These vocal folds vibrate. Okay, so it is tone producing organ, you know. So one here exhale the air. So exhaling of air provides the vibration in the vocal cord here, and this vibration of vocal cord give rise to the produce the sound. Okay, so and there the vowels are voiced. Okay, so vowels are voiced due to vibration in the vocal cord, but the consonants are unvoiced. Okay, so this is another function of the this vocal fold here. Okay. So voice is produced because the larynx is tone producing organ. So during the voice production, what's happened? These vocal folds are stressed and adducted. Okay, so adduction occur and the stretching occur, and this adduction and stretching give rise to the vibration, produce the vibration, and this vibration produce the different tone of the voice here. Okay, here. So this is important function of the vocal fold. One is it prevents the entry of the air. It is allow free air exit. So after free air exit, one can stop the breathing and allow to act the accessory muscle of respiration without wasting of energy. First, second, it is tone producing organ here. So what's happened? Vocal fold vibrate after stretching and adducting the vocal fold. So they stretch and they vibrate due to the expiration of the air. Okay, so they produce the different tone of sound or the pitch of the sound. Okay, here. And the third is here I told you here the mucous membrane is adherent to the vocal ligament here, no submucous coat here. So here, so this sinus here has the saccule or the mucus pouch, and this mucus pouch secrete the mucus, and this mucus here moisten this margin of the vocal fold here. They do not damage due to the friction. They come close to the during the voice production here. So this act as a oil can here. Okay, so larynx, saccule of the larynx act as a oil can, which continuously secrete the mucus and moisten the vocal fold here. Clear? So this is the function of the rima glottidis here. Now, if you see the shape of the rima glottidis in different act of the voice or the inspiration here. Suppose this is the arytenoid cartilage. vocal fold. Okay, here. So in normal breathing here, this shape of the rima glottis is pentagonal here. Pentagonal means intermembranous part is triangular, okay, while the intercartilaginous is a quadrangular. So shape becomes pentagonal here in the normal breathing, quiet breathing, okay, here. While here in the full inspiration, what's happened here? There is a axis where the anterior cartilage move. So in the deep inspiration, the full inspiration, what's happened here? This area have to broaden. Okay, here. So what's happened? These lateral process come lateral. This vocal process come laterally here. So what's happened here? The posterior cricoarytenoid muscle contract here, like this. The horizontal part contract. So when the upper horizontal part contract, so this muscular process comes here on the medial side here. Okay, so this comes laterally. So what's happened now? Look here. It is contraction of the horizontal part of the posterior cricoarytenoid. So this cavity becomes wider. Okay, it becomes wider. It looks like a diamond shape here. Okay, here it becomes like a diamond shape. So this is on when upper fiber of the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. But in the human being, what's happened? The lower fiber, vertical fiber contract, posterior cricoarytenoid muscle contract more. So what's happened? Both arytenoid cartilages move away here. Okay, so they move away like this. Okay, they move away here. Both here, the vertical fiber of the cricoarytenoid muscle, posterior cricoarytenoid muscle, when contract here. Okay, so they pull the arytenoid cartilage away. So the cavity of the rima glottidis, also this gap between in the vocal fold of the rima glottidis becomes wider. Okay, so it the shape of this is a wide triangular, a large triangular. Okay, yeah. Here there is a diamond shape. Diamond shape here, and this is a wide triangular. Okay, so more air enters here in the deep full inspiration. Clear? Now in high pitch sound, what's happened in the high pitch sound? In high pitch sound here, these vocal folds come close together. Okay, so what's happened? The air come, blast of the air come here from the, so it creates vibration here. So in high pitch sound, what's happened? It is both arytenoid cartilage come close together here. Okay, or the adduction of the, we can say the adduction of the vocal cord occurs. So what's happened? Look here. It is entering. So it is like a only chink, small gap persists here. Okay, in high pitch sound here. Clear? So this rima glottidis reduce only a small chink here. Okay, so vibration occur here in the vocal fold during the high pitch sound here. Clear? So this is the, it is done by the adduction of the both this arytenoid cartilage by the posterior arytenoid muscle. We will come later on what are the different muscles acting here. Okay, then the whispering voice. What about the whispering voice? In the whispering voice here, the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle contract. Okay, here. So here the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle contract here. This is the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. Okay, here. So when contract, what's happen? They come upper end come close together, while the lower end move here. Okay, here. Opposite to the transversus arytenoid, this is posterior cricoid muscle here. So what's happen? Look here. It looks like this. This electric cricoid muscle contract here. Okay, so it looks like an inverted funnel shape. Okay, here. So cavity look like inverted funnel shape here. Here. Okay, like this. So in the whispering voice, this is in the whispering voice. Okay, so the four shape are produced in the different act of inspiration or the whispering voice. Here this is quite normal. Okay, it's a quite normal respiration. Normal respiration. Here, this is the deep respiration or inspiration we can say. Here, this is in the deep inspiration. Here, this is the high pitch sound. And this is the whispering. Okay. So in the deep inspiration, the two things occur here. Either the cavity, the shape of the rima glottis converting into diamond shape, or either the white triangular here. Okay. In the human being, the white triangular is more here, and this is due to the contraction of the posterior cricoid muscle. And this posterior cricoid muscle acts as a safety muscle. Okay. Because when this posterior cricoid muscle paralyzed, what's happened? This vocal fold come in the adducted position. Okay, adducted. So it is difficult to take the breathing here because the lateral cricoid muscle overcome the function of the posterior cricoid muscle when the posterior cricoid muscle paralyzed. So a vocal fold come in the adducted position. So it might hamper the air entry inside the lung. Okay. So that's why this posterior cricoid muscle are known as the safety muscle. After this here, come on the different action of the muscles and the movements of the larynx here. First is the abduction. I told you this abduction. Abduction means here widening of the rima glottis. And widening of the rima glottis is produced by the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle here. This posterior cricoid muscle will contract here, arytenoid moves, it glides or either the move here, either the gliding, look here, suppose this is the lamina of the cricoid cartilage and here is the arytenoid cartilage. Okay, here. This is the joint. Okay, here. This is a muscular process. So this is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. Okay, here. Posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. So when the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle contract, what's happened when it contract? The muscular process come medial side. Okay. So what's happened? The rotatory movement occur, or either the when this lower part of the or vertical part of the this posterior cricoarytenoid muscle contract. So what's happened? This gliding movements of the arytenoid cartilage occur. Gliding. So arytenoid cartilage move away here. Okay, here. So the two action occur. Either the rotation occur or the gliding. So in the human being, the gliding movement is more prominent than the rotation. Okay, so here, so what's happened now? The both arytenoid moves away, and the cavity becomes wider here. It acts as a last triangular. Okay, So that's why I told you the posterior cricoid muscle act as a safety muscles. Okay, here. Now, after this adduction, okay, adduction movement. This is the abduction. Okay, adduction. Adduction is done by the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, the opposite to the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle here. So this is the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle. Okay, so in the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle contract, what's happened? This muscular process moves here. Okay, here laterally here. Okay, here lateral side. So what's happened? This vocal process comes towards the midline here. Okay, so what's happened in the midline like this here? Clear? So adduction occur, and this is produced in the whispering sound here. And intermembranous part, especially the intermembranous part, is adducted by the contraction of the this is lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, while the intercartilaginous part here come together by the transversus arytenoid muscle. Okay, so what's happened? Look here, lateral cricoarytenoid muscle when contract here, so membranous part here come close together here, while the transversus muscle contract here, so intercartilaginous part come close together here. Okay, here. So whole cavity is reduced in a chin, producing the high pitched sound here. Okay. So when the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle contract here, so these vestibular and the vocal fold come close together. So this is produced in the whispering voice. When the this transversus arytenoid muscle contract, or the transverse arytenoid muscle contract, so this part, cartilaginous part also come together here. So what's happened? This is produced in the high pitch sound. Okay, this section is occur in the high pitch sound. So two things occur. If only the lateral cricoarytenoid muscle contract here, what's happened? Whispering voice is produced, while both part contract here, especially the transverse arytenoid muscle here, high pitch sound is produced. So this act occur in the both whispering and the high pitch sound. Now the tensioning of the vocal fold, how the tensioning occur or the lengthening. Tension or lengthening. Okay, lengthening of the vocal cord or the elongation. Okay, lengthening or elongation. So this is produced by the cricothyroid muscle and the vocalis muscle. Okay, look how it is produced. Look here, this is the thyroid cartilage. Okay, and this is the cricoid cartilage. Here is the arytenoid cartilage. Okay, here. Now, this is the vocalis muscle. Okay, vocalis muscle. So now what's happened? This is the cricothyroid muscle here. Okay, so now when the cricothyroid muscle contract here, suppose these are the fiber of the cricothyroid muscle. Okay, so when the cricothyroid muscle contract, so arch of the cricoid cartilage passes anteriorly. Okay, here, while the lamina of the cricoid cartilage passes posteriorly here. Okay, suppose this is thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage here. So when this muscle contract here, okay, so what's happened? Arch comes anteriorly, by the lamina rotates downward on the posteriorly here. Okay, so lamina when passes posteriorly or the backward, so at the lamina this arytenoid cartilage is articulated. So arytenoid cartilage also passes backward, shift occur. Okay, so lengthening of the vocal cord occur because the vocal process is attached to the thyroid cartilage here. Clear? So this is a classical view occur here. Okay, in the classical view, what's happened in the classical view? Contraction of cricothyroid muscle, the arch of the cricoid cartilage come anteriorly. Okay, here, so while the lamina passes posteriorly here at the junction of the cricothyroid joint here. Okay, so cricothyroid joint here, at this lamina passes posteriorly and shift, and so arytenoid cartilage also shift posteriorly, or the backward movement occur. So this lengthening of the vocal cord occur, or the elongation or the tension is produced here. So this is a classical view here. Clear? Now, what are the relaxation? So what's happened? The tension is produced, and this gives rise to the movements in the vocal cord. Now the relaxation of the this vocal fold here. Relaxation is folded by the thyroarytenoid muscle. When the thyroarytenoid muscle contract here and the vocalis muscle contract here, so they both come close together here, arytenoid and thyroid cartilage. So relaxation of the vocal cord occur. Clear? So these are two muscle, vocalis and the thyroarytenoid muscle produces the relaxation, while the cricothyroid muscle contract, it produces the strength, this lengthening or the tension in the vocal cord due to the shifting of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage backward along with the arytenoid cartilage. Okay, so this is here how the relaxation and the contraction occur. So this is all about the movements vocal cord here. Now, mucous membrane, we have seen the mucous membrane is in the vocal cord. There is a stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, here in the vestibular fold, there is the ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Okay, here. And the vocal fold do not have the lamina, this is a submucous cord and the lamina propria, while the vestibular fold has the submucous cord and the lamina propria. If you see the nerve supply of the larynx, I told you the muscles, all the muscles are supplied by the this recurrent laryngeal nerve except the one muscle, that is the cricothyroid muscle. Cricothyroid muscle is supplied by the external laryngeal nerve. And the sensory supply, if the sensory supply, if you see sensory supply above the here. Okay. Above the vestibular fold here, this area is supplied by the internal laryngeal nerve. Okay, while the below the vestibular fold, this area is supplied by the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So recurrent laryngeal nerve gets the sensation from the vocal fold and this area, the saccule, while the above the vestibular fold, the mucous membrane here, the sensation are carried by the internal laryngeal nerve. Okay, and the secretomotor fiber, the gland comes from the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay, here, recurrent laryngeal nerve, especially in this area. Clear? And the blood supply, if you see the blood supply above the vocal cord here, it is come from the superior laryngeal artery, and superior laryngeal artery comes from the superior thyroid artery, while the around the vocal cord and the below the vocal cord here, the artery is supplied by the inferior laryngeal artery, which comes from the inferior thyroid artery. Okay, here. Yeah. And the veins are corresponding vein here. The lymphatic drainage, if you see the lymphatic drainage, lymphatic comes from the above the vocal cord, it is drained into the pre-laryngeal lymph nodes. Okay, and ultimately then into the jugulo-digastric group of the lymph node here. While the below the vocal cord here, it drains into the pretracheal group of the lymph node. Okay, and the paratracheal group of the lymph node. Pretracheal and the paratracheal. So above here is the prelaryngeal lymph node, while below here the pretracheal lymph node. Okay, and this ultimately drains into the jugulo-digastric. And this and into also the paratracheal lymph node. Paratracheal lymph node. Okay, so this is all about the larynx. If you see the clinical aspect of the larynx, is when the recurrent laryngeal nerve is paralyzed. Okay, recurrent laryngeal nerve is cut accidentally during the thyroidectomy operation here. What's happened? Patient develop different manifestation of the vocal cord. of the here. So, as you know, the recurrent nerve supply all the muscles except the cricothyroid muscle, and the cricothyroid muscle only lengthen. Is helping lengthening here. Okay, here. So what's happened when the recurrent nerve is one side paralyzed? What's happened? That part of the vocal cord is fixed in the paramedian position, and when the voice is produced, so opposite vocal cord crosses the midline and reaches toward the opposite this or paralyzed vocal cord here. Okay, so this is the one thing occur here. Okay, second, the voice becomes hoarse. Okay, voice become hoarse because due to the though no movement occur in the vocal cord, paralyzed side of the vocal cord, so husky voice or the hoarse voice is produced here. Clear? If the both recurrent laryngeal nerve is paralyzed, okay, both half of the rima glottis disc is come close to midline in the cadaveric position here, or the paramedian position. Clear? And it gives also difficulty in respiration. Okay, here. So when the one side of recurrent laryngeal nerve is paralyzed, that half of the vocal cord come in the paramedian position here, and opposite half move. Okay, and even crosses the paralyzed side. When the both recurrent laryngeal nerve is paralyzed, okay, or the accidentally cut, so this vocal cord come in the both vocal cord come in the paramedian position here. Clear? So this is all about the clinical aspect of the larynx. Thank you.